Soft skills can be learnt from books, during conversations, and in teams. We all need them, so how can you develop them? Let's explore. Let's continue to explore. We are now in week 3 of soft skills development. And if you've been following me, thank you very much. And if you're sharing this content with others, that's also great. I appreciate that. I really want to encourage a conversation this year on LinkedIn, on YouTube, where we can really understand what it means to have these skills in the 21st century. We have AI, we have massive changes happening around our world, and we can't let go of these essential skills, business competence skills, power skills, core skills, whatever you want to call them. These are important skills to absolutely consider. So this week, I've had the great pleasure, in fact, of diving deeper into those skills. And I watched again the Mega Skills Conference, where this soft skills rubric that I've been talking about has been presented in its final form. And I had the great pleasure to actually meet 3 of the authors yesterday. I wish I could have gotten an interview. Perhaps I will in time. But I met 3 of the authors, and so I'm going to show you a photo in a moment and be able to explain a little bit more about what I've learned from them, a little bit about behind the scenes with the development of this particular book. So as I bring it up, for those who aren't familiar, please download it. It's an open source Springer Access book. And there's the QR code there that'll take you straight to that website. Believe it or not, the authors yesterday said 17,000 downloads have happened so far. So, I mean, that's honestly fantastic. I've probably had a good 100 of those recommending it to people. But of course, 17,000 is a massive number. So people in academia, in training, development, adult education are interested in these skills. And I think that's a tremendous thing to remember. So what's interesting about the book and what was interesting about the conference, you can see there me standing there yesterday at Hochschule Burgenland, my university, meeting with the 3 authors from the Palacký University in Olomouc, which is in the Czech Republic. And it was truly wonderful to show them around, to talk about future collaborations and where we might be able to take soft skills. And we all agreed over lunch that it was about the how. So this rubric is fantastic, but how do we develop those soft skills? And that's where my article this week is really thinking about what can we do in that sense. And what I've understood from the Mega Skills Conference is that these skills connect. So there are relationships and there are these hub skills that are critically important. So when we talk about hub skills, what are we meaning? So these here listed are adaptability, empathy, self-control, and understanding of social realities. Just consider those for a minute. Adaptability. How adaptable are you to new circumstances, to changes, to the changing nature of life? All of us can be frustrated at times, but do we have it in our skill set to be able to be much more open to the ideas of others, to not just getting our own way all the time? And I know that sounds like we're small children, but we develop those skills as children. And so hopefully, if you have kids like I do, you encourage them to be adaptable, to be flexible, to move with the flow of life. Empathy. This ties very much to emotional intelligence. And my work at 6 Seconds Europe has often talked about that in combination. And in fact, empathy is one of the 8 competencies within the KCG framework that I mentioned last year as well. And we'll dive deeper when I talk about emotional intelligence in a few weeks. But empathy is that ability to understand, to console, to work with, again, other people. So these are outward focused kind of abilities and competencies. Self-control. This is about us. Again, can we control our own circumstances? Can we take and move towards mastery of the things that we would like to as well? And understanding social realities, for me, is an interesting one. It feels a lot like social intelligence. Am I able to understand the environment around me, the people around me? Am I able to be aware of those social nuances? And a lot of us aren't. We get in situations where I'm guilty of this too, where I just want to communicate and talk and blah, 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 and go on about myself. And And I fail to realize that, no, it's a backwards and forwards kinds of moment. This is about communication, of course, as well. How well can I work with others? So when you think of these 4 hub skills, these are skills with which everything else starts to work around. And if you had a look at my article in LinkedIn this week, you'll see that there's also the relationship map. So these hub skills are now mapped on a different on the article and from the PowerPoint that was presented. But also have a look. Talking to the authors yesterday, David, Andre, and Michal, they mentioned that they also did a lot of work talking to SMEs, and look at the 4 skills that were brought up there by SMEs. And again, adaptability, number 1. So you might say that this is a critical skill that all of us need to develop in this age of AI. Communication, wonderful. I'm really happy to see that, because in my own research over the last 12 months, communication has been that top skill that people in academic journals all through in different ways have all said that communication is so important. And think about the way communication works with the understanding of social realities. So we need to communicate well in social situations. We need to communicate well with ourselves to have more self-control. Our communication is critical when we think about empathy. And so critical thinking, their skill number 3 there with SMEs, also interesting. We want people who are not just blindly relying on AI solutions and outputs, but thinking through the consequences of actions and understanding the way things work in systems. This is critical thinking. And is pretty important. So we need to think about how can we engage in moments of self-awareness. And it's the how that I'm going to be considering this year as we deep dive into each of these soft skills. So let's bring it home. I want you to look for connections. So work through the rubric that I've presented earlier and look through each of those areas and think what connects to what. So maybe emotional intelligence, empathy, self-awareness, self-control, self-regulation all work together. Maybe understanding social realities, communication, cultural intelligence all work together for you, because it's up to you to decide what kinds of skills that you want to be more aware of, to practice, and to lead towards a level of mastery that perhaps you don't currently have. One affects the other, which means that there is those knock-on effects. Don't try and do 10 at once, do 1 at once. I'm really focused on time management this quarter, and I'm making sure that I'm maximizing my opportunities to live a balanced life as well. Adaptability is key, and that's something that I'm absolutely focused on myself, making sure that I'm flexible where I need to be, with whom I need to be, and considering that it takes practice. The last concept that I brought up in the article is about this idea of soft skilling. It's a verb, it's an action, it involves culture. So there's a link to the reference to the article that talked about soft skilling there in my article. Please have a look, but consider soft skilling, therefore, as a practice. So it's really about how can we practice these skills for ourselves? What do we need to do personally? And what hub skills, what connected skills will also be influenced? Work on one, work on more of them as well. So I hope you have a good week, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.